Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is taking your events online. How many of you have participated in like a virtual event of some sort? You weren't at the event, but you participated remotely. Good number of you. That's a trend that is happening more and more, and you'll notice today actually that this is the first Planner Tech that we are not live streaming. And the reason for that is that it takes a ton of work to live stream an event. You can't just put on a camera and go, and then just let people sit at home and watch all day. There's a science to it, and it takes a lot of resources. And so we kind of decided we weren't going to do it unless we were going to do it really well. And in the past, Planner Tech was 3 hours, and it was a lot easier to do 3 hours of live streaming than an entire day. But what you can do is do what we're doing, which is capturing all the video content and then sharing it after the event. And then people can participate virtually from wherever, so whether they were able to attend today or not. So we're going to have, I'm introducing now Devin Drake, who is going to talk to us about taking your events online, how to do that, what are some things to consider. So please welcome Devin.
All right. So I'm going to be talking about taking your event online. I run a company called virtuvent. We're an online video platform specifically for the events industry. I'm going to be touching on a couple of things today. Just starting off, can everyone hear me? Right, sorry. There's a couple of reasons why events want to go online typically, and it's not exclusively to be an online event. I'm talking about hybrid events as well, where you're actually having an event and you're all sort of contributing to it with content. Events want more exposure. It's a key point. They want to reach wider audiences. They want multi-channel visibility. So reaching people on the web, via social, YouTube. Going through media partners, that type of thing. They also want increased value delivered to their sponsors. So getting their sponsors' branding and logos out there, products, delivering data to sponsors, stuff like that. And also engaging audiences from events for over a longer period of time. You come into an event for a couple of days, you meet a bunch of people, but what happens when you leave? Does that engagement actually continue? So exposure is a big part of it. The second part of it is revenue. So there are a lot of opportunities to actually bring new revenue in using content, either by selling a sponsorship package to a key sponsor to brand a lot of your video, through ticketing. So a lot of our customers are actually billing people to watch their content and tacking that onto maybe physical registration tickets, as well as in-video advertising, depending on what kind of volume you're expecting. And then the third thing really is data. So a really big part of a content strategy is seeing who's watching your content, what country they're watching it from, how many people are watching certain categories of content, what devices they're using, and that data really helps events to make better decisions on, what speaker to fire for next year, in what country to talk about specific content, and maybe how to tailor content for different devices moving forward. But to sort of look at and take a deep dive into this, whole online video strategy, how does this all work? It sounds pretty complicated. And I've broken it down really into three core areas. The first is actually creating your video content. So that really involves, bringing in a camera crew to actually shoot all your video content. That normally involves 2, 3, 4 cameras per session, depending on how big your venue is. Picking whether you want to live stream your event and actually have people watch online in real time, or if you want to record the event and only allow access to content after the fact. As well as then coordinating with in-house sound, lighting, IT, and all this kind of stuff. So there are quite a lot of moving parts in creating content for an event. The second part of it, getting content online, involves things like either taking those camera feeds from your venue and getting them on the web in real time for live streaming, or uploading all that content after the fact. And then putting your content into categories and adding metadata, so descriptions on content, who's speaking, putting content into categories that can be accessed by different people. And then, of course, encoding content for different devices. What you would have picked up already probably is that different devices, Android mobile phone, iPad, laptop, your internet TV at home are going to take different formats, especially when it comes to video. So, it's not a one-size-fit-all scenario necessarily. There's video that you could stream out of your venue and put it into a player, and somebody picks up their iPad and it doesn't support Flash. So you've got to consider, encoding for different devices, and then, also customizing the look and feel of your content. What does your player look like? Did you do a sponsorship deal? Did you make sure that you integrated your sponsor's corporate colors into the player? If you click pause, does it show the sponsor's logo? Is the player branded Livestream or Ustream, or is it branded Planetech? All this kind of stuff needs to be thought about. And then the last part of it really is what you do with your content after the fact. So, marketing, distribution, monetization. So, where are you sending your content? What are you doing with it? How are you stretching the value? So, are you delivering this content into a dedicated, environment where people are logging in and accessing your event content? Are you embedding your content in third-party websites, your own site, maybe partner websites, maybe New York Times? Are you syndicating your content to third parties? So, are you sending all your content to YouTube, to MSN, to Yahoo, to Hulu, what have you? And are you taking specific categories of content and providing a feed to a media partner? Do you do a deal with TechCrunch and give them a feed for a certain category of content? And then lastly, thinking about monetization of your content once it gets online. Are you integrating in-ad or in-video advertising? So when somebody clicks play, there's a 10-second pre-roll. Are you doing a sponsorship deal before the event where you're talking to your headline sponsor and you're saying, okay, for $10,000, you can brand our entire content interface, and every time someone clicks play on a video or shares a video, all of your advertising and branding follows that content. And then ticketing. Are you saying, all right, the ticket to my conference is $500, let's make it, $519. No one's really going to notice, and everyone automatically gets access to all the content after the fact, and I, as an event, makes money. So there's quite a few things to think about here. And I think what you're probably thinking right now is, how on earth do you manage all of this? Because it sounds exceedingly complicated, and the workflow that I've just described to you is very typical of larger media houses and broadcasters. And this can be rather overwhelming for an event, especially if you're doing this for the first time and you don't have a lot of experience in the space. So I'm going to take a quick step back here just to have a look at the market, and I'm going to have a look at a few stats that we pulled from our colleagues, the CMO Council. 52% of events feel that show producers and venues should embrace tech that increases engagement and lead flow. 31% of events are moving to a more continuous touch through webinars, dialogues, and virtual presentations, but then only 8% of events are using video, for hosting, archiving, live streaming, to maximize event presence and customer contact. So can anybody hazard a guess as to why that is?
They don't know how.
It's definitely one part of it. I don't know how, and I hear price, and that's pretty much it. Hopefully I'm solving that problem. If I'm not solving that problem, I should just leave now. So this really highlights two real issues that we found from talking to a lot of customers. The one issue is lack of product features, and the other really is cost. So from a functionality point of view, today's products are not really helping events to get online with the tool set that is important to events. So having control on your branding, having control over what happens to your content, having control over that monetization, having control over who has access to that content. And then, of course, cost. And if we break down that cost category into really where the bulk of cost is made up, it's really in content creation. So these camera crews and whatnot you bring into venues to create that content. And then content delivery, which is really, once you've got your content online, you're paying every single time watches that video. And you really need to be coming up with a strategy or partnering with a company that helps you to manage that cost. But there's good news. The good news is that the costs are going down significantly, and that's the industry that we're in, and that's kind of what we endeavor to do every day. As a company, we're probably the first in the market that's able to take an event online for under $1,000. And I don't know if that's even heard of these days, which includes content creation and the technology to do so. At the same time, we're obviously offering the flexibility to events that need to roll out more complex content strategies and workflows. But, having a starting point at that sort of level kind of changes the sport in a sense. And a sneak peek of how things are working today. We've been working on the technology for some time that actually allows events to put cameras in a venue, connect those cameras to our cloud, and actually push all that content up onto the net. And we have somebody off-site that's busy picking your camera angles and pulling in all of your nice lower third titling and graphics and intro slides and PowerPoint presentations. Without having a 10-person crew in the venue, by actually having maybe one consultant in venue to make sure that all the cameras stay on and that the internet connection is stable, and maybe setting up all of the gear. So that is kind of changing things a little bit. This has not really been available in the market up until now, and this is something that we're going to be pushing out in the next week or two. In fact, we're doing a large event in the city in about 3 weeks, where there are 3 concurrent event tracks, there are 3 cameras in each venue, and we're sending all of those feeds up from site into the cloud, and we have an off-site team that's busy mixing those live feeds into a produced piece of content, as well as recording all of that content and allowing it to be accessed after the fact by event attendees. So this is kind of new, it's kind of exciting. And I'm kind of hoping that you grasp the concept, because it hasn't really been possible up until now. So what does this actually mean? Well, you don't have all of these production crews in venue. You aren't hiring 3 camera people, a producer, a manager, someone who's logging all the content in the back of the room, someone who's setting up all of this gear and moving it in and out. You don't have any of this, so all the costs have come down. And with a lower cost, events can now focus on what's important as far as content strategy is concerned. And that really is monetization, if that enters the conversation, and then marketing and distribution. Using that content to generate leads and to engage your attendees, and to really stretch the value of your event over a longer period of time. But while also maintaining full control. And that's the key thing here. That's what makes taking your event online so much more than sending a live feed into Ustream and embedding it on your website. You need to maintain that control over who has access to your content, whether your system is open or closed. And a great example is association customers. We work a fair amount with medical events don't want all of their proprietary content open to the market for people to just log in and watch. They want to provide all the members of their association that pay annual fees a login, a username and a password to access content which has been created for them. So it's really important to maintain this control, and of course branding, as we've discussed, and then also monetization. How are you actually going to do deals on this content so that you open a new revenue stream for your event. So everyone at this event, just tweet at us at virtuvent, and you get 25% off all of our products. So feel free to go for it. I have 2 minutes and 32 seconds left. So I motored through that because I tend to talk a lot. So are there any questions before I wrap up? We'll start with you. We're doing Cultura's Dev Connect conference. Yeah. In the back? Do you provide the cameras? We have a production department, yes. But a lot of our customers are creating their own content. So it really depends. And we also have partnered with a lot of venues and production companies in the US. So we push a lot of that onto our partners depending on where the event is. And also we work in a lot of countries around the world, so we prefer in that case that the customer actually creates their own content, or at least puts the cameras in the venue and we can send one person out to manage it. Are you managing the content that are on the screen during the program as well as post? Yes. Yeah, if we're doing a live event, we actually see all of those camera feeds in real time. Yeah, we're producing it from offsite. Yeah. Thanks. Yes?
I have an event space, but a number of the really tech savvy.
Mm-hmm.
How user-friendly is this? What does that look like? You guys train them for the event?
Are you talking about the event producer who wants to be able to manage a content strategy, or are you talking about the viewer?
First time dealing with something like this.
It's really user-friendly. In fact, the event doesn't actually ever see the interface where we cut your content in real time. All you see is the interface where viewers access your content. So branding that interface, picking what categories you want to put your content in. So for example, if you have an event that has 5 tracks, you'll probably put a lot of the videos into different categories for each track so people can navigate it and search it properly. So it's from that point of view, it's really simple and user-friendly. Yeah, if you look at our website, there's a demo up. Yeah. Anyone else? All right, thanks very much.